Hello friend, this is Sanjay Kumar, founder and creator of SelectorsHub. If you want to generate XPath with a particular attribute or without a particular attribute, then this will help you. So let me quickly show you how you can use this attribute filter feature in SelectorsHub Pro and how this is going to help you a lot while auto-generating the XPath and cssSelector with with a particular attribute. So here, let me give you example on this practice page. If you guys haven't checked it out, do check it out. This is really helpful page. So here you see that, like suppose here in this element, like id attribute is there, class is there, lots of attributes are there. Let me just zoom in. Yeah, so here let me open SelectorsHub Pro. So you see, as soon as you will open SelectorsHub Pro, here you will find that, like, it will by default generate XPath and selectors with some particular attribute preference. So generally the preference in the while generating the XPath and selectors here is that it will always give a highest priority to the ID, and then lots of other attribute like placeholder, name, title, class and all, it will give according to them. Now here you want to generate selectors XPath with your choice, with your attribute, because there are high number of chances that in many applications there could be id could be dynamic, and you will be the best person to decide which attribute is dynamic or not. So in that case, you click here on this attribute filter. You see that, and here you can set the attribute. So now for an example, it is generating with id. So you don't want with id, you can uncheck this. Now it will not generate with id. Here it is generating with placeholder. But suppose you don't want with placeholder, you want with some other attribute, but it shouldn't generate with placeholder. So in that case, you can enter the attribute name here. Like suppose you don't want with placeholder, so you see that without attribute. The placeholder is suggesting without attribute. So here you can enter placeholder and hit enter. You see that it is generating without placeholder. Now it is generating with title. Suppose you don't want like you want with any specific attribute. Let's say you want with name. So here you can enter the name and hit enter. It is generating. So now you have choice with what attribute you want to generate, with what attribute you don't want to generate. So any particular, like if you just want to enter one condition, you can enter one condition. If you want to enter multiple condition, you can choose them. So this way you would be able to generate XPath and cssSelector with your choice. Like suppose it is generating with placeholder, you want with something else. Let's say you want with type. You give the attribute name here, type, and hit enter. Now if you will inspect any element, if that type attribute will be there, it will generate with type, or otherwise it will generate with something else. Like here, if I inspect this, it is generating with text. If suppose if I inspect this, if type attribute will be there, the very first preference will be given to type. Now even if the id is checked, then it will even then also it will give the first preference to type. So this is how you can generate XPath and cssSelector and other selector in SelectorsHub Pro with your own choice attribute, with or without. These are some shortcuts because yes, we can't have all the attributes here. So in that case, we have this list of attributes here, some shortcut, like quickly you can uncheck and check them. So for an example, like if I inspect this element and now there is a text here, so it is this XPath is generated with text, but you don't want with text. In that case, you can uncheck this and now it will generate without text. If you want with text, you can check this. So this is how you can use the attribute filter feature here, and this is really helpful. And whatever setting will you will do, like here we have set this attribute type, and suppose here we uncheck this id attribute. So next time when you will open this, you will not have to set those attribute again. When you will open SelectorsHub, those attribute preference will be set by default. Here if you open this, you see that it is all set. So whatever you will set here, that will be saved in your local. So next time when you will open SelectorsHub, you will not have to again set those properties. So they will be saved in SelectorsHub. So this is how this feature attribute filter will help you guys a lot when you are generating lots of selectors with your own choice attribute. Now you just keep on inspecting, it will give you the it will give very first preference to your selectors, and then it will keep generating these selectors and all. So I hope this will be helpful and you guys will enjoy. It is also very helpful in many cases, like let me give one more example. Suppose you are inspecting here this element, and if that element class or id attribute is dynamic, in that case it will highlight that particular element with that alert element. Let me remove this here and this placeholder from here. Now when you will inspect some element, and if that will be having like alphanumeric value, so in that case it will add the alert icon here, like here. So you see that if class is alphanumeric, so here you see that alert icon is there, and when you will hover on this, it will let you know that class looks dynamic. Uncheck the class checkbox or delete the class attribute if you have entered here. So this is easy, and now you know that this looks like dynamic. You can uncheck if you don't want to generate with class. So this is really helpful, because selectors hub or nobody can tell you that whether this class is dynamic or not. It could be static, it could be dynamic, so you need to decide, because you will be the best person who knows that class attribute or id attributes are static for your application or not. Because if you see that, let me copy this value, or let me click on edit icon and paste it here. So you see right now it is showing 1. If this will be dynamic, then if you will refresh the page, this will change, right? Let me refresh the page and see if it is changing or not. Now I have refreshed, let me hit enter. It is still there. So this means for Google this type of classes are static. So if somebody is using this XPath, then it is going to be static for them. So now the employee who is testing this one, the SDATs who are testing this application here, they know that class is static, so they will be using this class attribute. So similarly, it's your choice. You know that whether it's a static or dynamic, that accordingly you can check. Accordingly, you can choose the selectors here, attributes here, and that's how you can generate these selectors. So yeah, so that's pretty much about the attribute filter, guys. I hope you like this feature, and this will help you a lot to save a lot more time. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let others know about this incredible innovation, SelectorsHub Pro. Thank you. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and please add the review for SelectorsHub Pro. This will really inspire me. Thank you. Thank you so much.